More than 1,600 years ago, an idea began traveling across Asia. It was not an army, not gold, not even silk. A religion. Buddhism started in India, but crossed deserts, mountains, and kingdoms, and eventually arrived in ancient Korea. But Buddhism did not simply knock on Korea's door and say, "Do you want enlightenment?" Its arrival was connected to diplomacy, political power, trade networks, and one of the most unstable periods in East Asian history.
To understand how Buddhism entered Korea, we first need to visit China in the 4th century. And frankly, things were a mess. Dynasties collapsed, kingdoms fought constantly. Northern China looked less like a unified empire and more like an aggressively competitive group project. During this chaotic period, Buddhism spread rapidly across northern China. Why? Partly because Buddhism offered answers during uncertain times, but also because rulers found it politically useful. Buddhist institutions brought literacy, philosophy, art, and organized religious networks. In other words, Buddhism was not just a religion, it was also part of a larger cultural system. Today, people sometimes imagine ancient Korea as isolated. However, in reality, Korea was deeply connected to the surrounding world. Ancient Korea interacted constantly with northern Chinese states through warfare, diplomacy, migration, and trade. One of those states was former Qin. In 372, according to the Samguk Sagi, the ruler of former Qin sent a monk named Sundo to ancient Korea. Sundo reportedly brought Buddhist scriptures and images with him, which sounds peaceful. But this was also a diplomatic moment. Sending Buddhism could strengthen political relationships between states. Religion and politics were often closely connected in the ancient world. So why did Goguryeo accept Buddhism? Well, probably not because everyone suddenly became spiritually enlightened overnight. By the 4th century, ancient Korea was expanding and becoming more centralized. Its rulers needed stronger systems of authority and administration. Many historians believe Buddhism may have helped support royal authority by providing new political and philosophical frameworks. But early Buddhism in ancient Korea was likely limited mostly to elites near the royal court. Ordinary villagers probably did not wake up one morning. Another important detail is this. The Buddhism that reached Goguryeo was already very different from the Buddhism of ancient India centuries earlier. As Buddhism moved across Asia, it continuously adapted to new languages, cultures, and political systems. Texts were translated, ideas evolved, local traditions blended together. In that sense, Buddhism was not a fixed package moving across Asia. It was more like a constantly evolving cultural network. The introduction of Buddhism in 372 did not instantly transform ancient Korean society, but it marked the beginning of a major historical shift. Over time, Buddhism would influence Korean philosophy, architecture, literature, art, and education. And eventually, Buddhist culture would continue traveling from the Korean peninsula into Japan. Buddhism reached Goguryeo through far more than simple religious conversion. Its journey reflected diplomacy, trade, political ambition, and cultural exchange across East Asia. More than 1,600 years later, traces of that transformation can still be seen throughout Korea today.